Good evening. Today is 28th of July 2021. This is the third night or third day since Mr. Rodrigo Roa Duterte, the pretending President of the Republic of the Philippines, delivered his State of the Nation address. My countrymen, I will be delivering the true State of the Nation tonight. What is the true state of the nation? Right now, we are ruled by a puppet government who reigns the country by terror, Duterte style, and by corruption, China style. So we are now in the crossroads, as I said the other day, between perdition and ignominy, with the Filipinos helplessly watching in the sideline and looking up for deliverance. There is no deliverance coming forth from this government. As a puppet government, this government, especially by Duterte, controls the three branches of government. The three branches of government, since we are a democratically established government by the Philippine Constitution, is divided by three branches. Among them, one, the executive, which is ruled by the president; second, legislative, which is composed jointly bicamerally by Senate and Congress; and third, judiciary, which is under the Supreme Court of the Republic of the Philippines. Sadly, clearly, these three branches of government are under the grip of one person, Rodrigo Duterte. That is the true state of the nation. And Rodrigo Duterte is the puppet of Red China, or People's Republic of China President Xi Jinping. Now this is the true state of the nation. We are now a country ruled by corruption, with unabated illegal drug trafficking, and with crime index soaring up through the roof. That is the true state of the nation. During his own version of the State of the Nation, Mr. Duterte has admitted, well considered, that the culture of corruption in the Philippines has deeply pervaded the government bureaucracy, and he confessed that he was rendered defenseless or helpless, because he said, I would be fighting my own government if I fight corruption. Isn't that a classic statement? Isn't that a very flattering statement for the Filipinos? And here we have a people covered to the bones, covered like groveling dogs, by no less than their president, Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Yes, we are ruled by terror, a terror wielded by Rodrigo Duterte, the modern day Idi Amin, Adolf Hitler combined in one demonic persona as the former mayor of Davao. How did this guy, this Duterte, happen to come to the highest, catapulted to the highest position in the land? Well, the former Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Alberto del Rosario, had come up with one revelation. According to him, since he was a professional diplomat for many, many years, and he has established contacts with diplomats around the world, he came across some revelation that Chinese moguls or leaders have been bragging around the world that they have created Duterte, and that Duterte is their puppet, and that the Philippines is now under the grip of China. This is the true state of the nation. And as a veteran journalist, I can tell you more. 10 years ago, Duterte was pictured as the Philippines' Dirty Harry. Dirty Harry, if you will recall, is a movie character, a police character, a police lieutenant, popularized by Hollywood's Clint Eastwood in a series of movies, Magnum Force and Dirty Harry. Dirty Harry, therefore, was also a very popular persona in Philippine movies and therefore among the Filipinos. And media, surprisingly, or now, since Alberto Del Rosario revealed his expose, unsurprisingly, Philippine media has projected him as a modern-day hero, a modern-day Robin Hood, and the person who carries the panacea to address the ills of Philippine society. He proved himself to be well underway towards being a warrior by cursing, firstly, the Pope of Vatican, Pope Francis, who came to the Philippines in order to commiserate with the Super Typhoon Haiyan, locally known as Typhoon Yolanda. And when he came over here, because the Philippines is 80% Catholic, that means that out of 110 million Filipinos, 88% are Catholics. And here you have the Prince of the Catholic Kingdom, the Catholic hierarchy coming in here in the Philippines, blessing the typhoon victims and causing traffic along the way. But when Duterte cursed him publicly on the air over a radio interview, saying that you have to go on, you son of a bitch, because you're causing traffic in my country. And you know, the 80 million Filipinos who were avowed Catholics voted for him, even applauded him in his many speeches. In his many speeches, he was projecting himself not only as a Dirty Harry and Robin Hood combined, but also one who is iron-fisted and who is brave enough to fight criminality and drug abuse in the Philippines. He was voted immensely with the help of Philippine media and, according to Del Rosario, with the help of Chinese bank rollers. Now, the situation in 2016, or pre-Duterte proclamation as President of the Republic, has not changed, or if it has changed for the worse. This is the true state of the nation right now. We have a terrorized media, we have totally dependent or totally gripped, totally controlled legislative bicameral branches. You have the Senate under his thumb, you have the Congress lapping up his ass, and we have the judiciary under his grip. This is dictatorship. The true state of the nation is the Philippines is under a grip of dictatorship, under a reign of terror, and showered by Chinese money through corruption, and we are invaded. Without firing a shot, the invaders are even being given retirement visa, businessman visa, tourist visa. This is Duterte as a puppet government of China. Now, what are we going to do? We Filipinos cannot do much. Where can we turn to? Last week, there was a big report, and this was circulated around the world, that China has been unloading or dumping its human waste from his 2 billion constituencies or citizens, dumping their human waste and hospital toxic waste into the Philippine seas within the exclusive economic zone of our country. This was even aided by a satellite photo, and no less than the President of the Republic of the Philippines dismissed this as fake news. Therefore, we cannot complain to anyone. This program, Kawal and Demokrasya, Soldier of Democracy, though almost in my lonesome crusade will not cower, will not give up. And I am reaching out to you, friends all over the world, to help me, help us. This is my telephone number, 0927-738-6913. Please come up with suggestions, please come up with aids, please come up with assistance in helping me save my country, the Philippines, from this tandem of evil called Duterte and Xi Jinping. We cannot go and rally anywhere. We cannot show people power in the street because Duterte has been using COVID-19 as the most effective weapon, better than guns and better than armies, in controlling peaceable assemblies, controlling movement of people. We are virtually right now living in a garrison state because of the interagency task force that controls COVID spread. And COVID is now the chain that binds people to their houses, to their homes, that renders people virtually prisoners in their own abodes of or residences because of this so-called program, enhanced community quarantine. It is no wonder that suddenly when COVID-19 invaded or was spread by China in the Philippines and in the world, in the Philippines, immediately Duterte ordered the police to wear combat battle uniform and get all their long firearms and enforce curfew, enforce enhanced community quarantine by the use of the guns, by the use of their uniforms and other hardware, by displaying their SWAT bulletproof vest with all the armaments and all the communication gadgets attached in order to terrorize the Philippines. And we, the Filipinos, have been effectively terrorized. We are still terrorized up to now. Who is Mr. Duterte? Mr. Duterte now is the puppet president of the People's Republic of China. And what is my proof? My final proof, other than all the other pretensions that he have had, is his statement that the United Nations Permanent Court of Arbitration ruling that the Philippines belongs to the Filipinos and China has no basis with his 9 line in claiming any part of the Philippines because it has no historical basis, no factual basis, and it is not sanctioned or recognized by the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS. And this ruling, and this is now my proof, this ruling was immediately dismissed by Mr. Rodrigo Roa Duterte as a mere useless piece of paper deserving to be thrown to the wastebasket. It is no wonder that his statement was closely, similarly attuned or even duplicated by Xi Jinping, who says that I do not recognize that ruling, I recognize my pact or arrangement with President Duterte. This is now my proof that Duterte is no more than a puppet of Xi Jinping when he, with all his bravado, declared that he does not recognize the ruling of the highest court of the world, United Nations. This global permanent court of arbitration ruling has been dismissed, downgraded as mere piece of paper deserving to go to the wastebasket. This is my final proof that Duterte is a puppet, other than the fact that he was unrobed or exposed by former Secretary of Foreign Affairs of the Philippines, Alberto del Rosario in saying that he had encountered diplomats around the world who have been saying that China has been bragging around the world also that they have installed, they have manufactured, they have created Duterte to become the permanent president of the Republic of the Philippines. Next year, we will be having an election, and no less than the daughter of Duterte is running for president, with no less than the incumbent president of the Philippines right now running for election as vice president. This is reminiscent of that Davao formula when Duterte had already served out his 3 terms or 9 years of being a mayor. He could not be allowed by the Constitution to run again as mayor. He ran as vice mayor to his daughter, Sara Duterte, as mayor. When Sara Duterte was mayor, she had adopted the strong arm tactic of his father to the point that she personally delivered punches on the face of a sheriff, a server of the court who was serving demolition order against illegal settlers of government property, and the sheriff was mauled by no less than then Mayor Sara Duterte. Now, this formula of daughter-father tandem in order to go around the law of non-re-election for the president, as there was no election or it was not also allowed for the mayor then Duterte to run for an election after serving 3 terms. The formula was to let the daughter run as mayor and himself as the vice mayor. During my visit when he was the vice mayor, he had Duterte, the vice mayor, had a bigger office, more people coming to his office than the mayor herself, because the mayor was just also a puppet of the vice mayor. This is now the current program in this election, and this forthcoming election is nothing but farcical because money controls the computerized voting system in the Philippines, and the whole COMELEC bureaucracy is under the tongue and in the pocket of Rodrigo Duterte. Thanks for the sky is the limit budget provided by China. China will never let Duterte lose this forthcoming election. China will not even let the people behind ICC to serve its warrant of arrest. In fact, my informant in Malacanang says even the Philippine Army is rendered inutile or helpless. They could not stage a coup d'etat because Xi Jinping will not allow any coup d'etat or any threat against his puppet boy, his fair-haired demon called Duterte. Now, what are we doing here? I, Oswaldo Carbonell, a Filipino, am reaching out to the world to help us save our country from China and from Duterte. Last week, I had an impeachable source report that 288 naval vessels of China have been patrolling the West Philippine Seas, and therefore our own Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force, the whole Army are rendered helpless because their Commander-in-Chief, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, is a puppet of the invading country called People's Republic of China, otherwise known also as Communist China or Red China. This is the true state of the nation, and I am reporting to you, to the world, and to my countrymen that we, while we cannot do much, we can do still something. Let us rally ourselves together, be together, support this crusade against China and against Duterte. Duterte is now groomed by China to be president for life. The daughter is just a farce of a president, because the real power behind her presidency will be no less than Rodrigo Roa Duterte himself. This is now our situation, and this is what we are trying to do. We, under the Kawal and Demokrasya, will be conducting people power, will be leading people power online, because we are not allowed to go out to the streets and display our tarpaulins and our banners or our placards. But we will invade the airwaves. We will use the social media as effectively as the Chinese have used it in propelling Duterte to the presidency from his unknown abode as a warlord of Davao City. It is considered that as a dirty Harry, Duterte has titillated the imagination of the Filipino people. When he was cursing Obama, he was cursing the ambassador of America, he was cursing even God. The dirty side of being a Filipino was applauding him, and they were rallying behind him. And sadly, up to now, there are still people like that. There are still Filipinos like that. But they may be few, but they are multiplied by their troll system. Troll, by the way, is an established group of computer manipulators who have been sending shout-out messages supporting Duterte or invoking whatever message or whatever statements of policy and terror Malacanang could dish out. This is the situation in the Philippines, and I am reporting directly to you, at the same time reaching out to the world. Please help Kawal and Demokrasya, Soldier of Democracy, this program. Please help save our country from China and from this terrorist called Rodrigo Roa Duterte. That is my message for this particular episode. I am Waldy Carbonell, and I love the Philippines.
Ang bayan ko